I'm doing a great work and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop so I can come down to you? These are the words of Nehemiah as he built the walls fortifying Jerusalem over 2,000 years ago, as told in the book of Nehemiah in the Bible. Today we see, just as it was back then, that Jerusalem is the source of heavy conflict in the Middle East, with multiple groups of people vying for control over the ancient city, and global powers weighing in on the conflicts that have been brewing over centuries. Join us as we delve into the mystifying history of Jerusalem and Israel, exploring the ongoing struggles and complexities that have shaped this ancient area for over 2,000 years. Through riveting discussions, we unravel the mysteries surrounding Israel's pivotal role in global affairs, its significance in the Abrahamic faiths, and the intricate web of U.S. foreign policy in the broader Middle East. Get ready to expand your understanding of one of the most misunderstood regions on Earth, here on the Great Work Podcast. All right, welcome Moses to the Great Work Podcast. Moses and I met on one of my lives. He was one of the first guests I ever had up, and the other first guest I ever had up was Jess, who you all know. She's been on before. So I'm really excited to have Moses on and do this series talking about what it's like to be gay in Israel, because it's very different being gay in Israel versus the rest of the Middle East. And I think Moses has a lot to say about that. So Moses, do you want to give a little bit about your background?
Yes. My name is Moses, in Hebrew, Moshe. I'm 30 years old. I've been living in Israel my entire life. I live in a small city called Kiryat Gat. Well, I'm gay.
North? Is that in
It's around the middle of Israel. Like
Okay.
if you draw a line from the top and to bottom of Israel, Kiryat Gat is like right in the center. It was also the place when on October 7th, when the Hamas terrorists infiltrated into Israel, when they committed all the atrocities, their plan was to reach all over to my city, all the way on their maps, on their bodies to Kiryat Gat, and to cut the country into two, basically the south and the north, like center north. And that's what they wanted to do. They managed to get about 10 minutes away from my city. Like,
wow.
yes, they were about 10 minutes away from here. Don't know what would have happened. There's a good chance that something would happen to me, because I was running while there were still missiles being above us. I ran all over. It's about 5-7 minutes walking distance. I ran toward my grandmother's house. She has a caregiver, something like that, or Azerbaijan, one of those countries. And I ran over there. I had like a kitchen knife in my hand and a hammer in my pocket in case something would happen. It's after some of the videos started to come to being aired on TV and Telegram and everything, and TikTok, people start talking. And I ran over there. I boarded up their windows like blankets. I told them what to do. I have a friend from TikTok. Her name is Lauren. I think you've spoken to her. She's from Florida. Because my grandmother's caregiver, she's new in Israel. She doesn't really know much Hebrew yet. And English also not that much. So, but she knows Russian. Lauren knows Russian. I called her on WhatsApp and she helped me translate everything to the caregiver and safety precautions for both of them. We boarded up the windows and closed the door. I told her, put something against the door in case something will happen, and stay away from windows. And
Wow.
that's background. So if something would have happened, there would have been a chance that when I went there or when I came back, something would have happened if they managed to reach here. I'm not far away. I'm not going to say which entrance to the city, but not far away from one of the entrances.
Well, thank God they did not.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I want to, and you are Jewish?
Yes.
Yes.
Both sides.
Both sides. Do you know where throughout the diaspora your family was and when they came back to Israel?
Yes, I know some of it. I never really asked. I didn't want to dwell with my grandparents. And also, my maternal grandparents passed away when I was younger. Like really young, before I knew everything, before it was something that was a part of the day-to-day life when you're starting your teenager years. My mother's side, they came from Romania, and which we know that a lot of the Romanian Jews are actually being kicked out of Spain during the times of the Inquisition. So I am not really in contact with my mother, but from what I understood, that's probably that kicked from Spain. They were kicked from Spain and got all the way to Romania and stayed there up until like 1958 when they were allowed to come to Israel. My mother and her two sisters. There's at least 3 cousins that we know of were murdered in the Holocaust from my mother's side. My grandmother and my mother's side, my grandmother and my grandfather from my mother's side, they were both from in an open labor camp. From what I know, my grandmother was sewing and fixing uniforms for the Nazis. And yeah, it was a labor camp. And my grandfather, because he was a carpenter and electrician, so he was useful. My mother has a photo of him, and I've seen this photo next to the wall of death, where they would put people in a row and shoot them. You see splatters of blood and bullet holes in the wall behind him. They used to say they used to send him on poles, like electricity poles, and without any harnesses, without anything, to protect him, because if he would have fallen, okay, another dead Jew. That's basically it. Yeah. From my dad's side, my paternal grandparents, they are Libyan Jews. They came here after they were kicked out of Libya. But a few that they managed to stay in hiding before they were kicked out. Yeah, actually my grandfather, he was sent here to live in a kibbutz. I don't remember which one. When he was about 12 or 14. My grandmother came here when she was about 14. They spent about 6-7 years inside. They were actually being hid in an Arab village by Muslims. They hid them. People who almost gave their life for them. The close friends, they swore to protect my father's family. My father was already born here in Israel, and I'm from my mother's side, first generation in Israel. She came here when she was a baby. From my dad's side, I'm second generation here in Israel.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's actually it is. And also, they also consider Holocaust survivors.
Yeah,
from my father's side. Yeah.
Wow. So that's so interesting, because I feel like people always focus on the European Jews, but you have both. And that's one of the people act like we're still in and people are all one thing, but you are a mix of both and you're Israeli, right?
100%. They asked me, where was your father from? He was born here. Well, my grandparents were kicked out. You know what? It's not even kicked out. They were ethnically cleansed from Libya. Same thing from Romania. It's slightly different because they were the prisoners of Zion a little bit, like in type-esque, like what happened in the Soviet Union. Romania was kind of in it, but not really. It's similar but different. But yeah, that's the funny thing. But all Jews, all of us, have at least some family members who never left here. Probably very, very far away, like third degree cousin or a 12th degree cousin that never left the country.
Very interesting. So do you want to give a little bit, because what we're doing this episode about is you're gay.
Yeah.
Do you talk about being gay in Israel, your coming out story, stuff like that?
Yes. I'm what you call a very late bloomer. Up until when I got into the military, me personally, I never really had an attraction to anyone. Now I know when I'm 30, I know that when I was 18, 19, I was attracted to boys, but I was very pushing it down. I was I pushed it down, and it's a funny thing. I had a fight with my commander, and I don't know, I had, after you have huge fights, you have a moment of clarity. I was talking to one of my best friends from base, and we're still in contact, me and her. She's actually an American who moved to Israel when she was a child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I told her, I don't know why, but my brain is clear right now after this big fight with our commander, and I said, I don't know why, but I feel like I want a boyfriend, I want a husband. That's basically, I think, the type of coming out I did. But you probably know that as a gay person, you always come out for the rest of your life. From the second you're coming out, you're coming out every time, because you're coming out to those friends, you're coming out to those friends. Me personally, I never really did came out. It's like, that's me. That's what is. That's what there is. Deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm here. I'm queer. Get used to it. I
love
it's a fun. Thank you. I love you too. A funny story is like I have like 3 groups of friends that were friends ever since like me and other 3 girls since high school. They're not from my high school, but we met through a program that made up a few children from high schools. We know each other since around 20, so like 13 years now, going on 14. Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a long time. um So we were walking down a shopping center, like an open shopping center, when there's like stores, it's very open space. And they were always trying to fix me up, 2 of them, trying to fix me up with the 3rd one.
Oh.
But I forgot I haven't spoken to them about it. And I already spoken to the one they tried to set me up with. So we were walking, we were walking and we were talking about something, and then I said we're going to look at clothes. And I told them, as the gay guy of the group, as the gay person, and the 2 of them just walked. They literally, like in the movies, they stopped, looked at each other like this, and I'm like, what? Yeah, that's not a surprise. We already spoken about it, because for me it was like a casual thing. And they told me, no, you haven't. I said, really? It's like, I did not know. I forgot that I haven't told you, because I already told to the one friend they tried to set me up with. We were very open, and nobody cares. They were just surprised. I had another friend that she said, oh, you're 100% gay. But maybe let me deal with it. I'm not gay. Leave me alone. I'm not gay. She said, you're so gay, Moses. You're so gay. She knew before I was. Basically, I don't talk about me being gay. Some people do know this, some people don't. I had a couple girls, at least 2 or 3 girls, who had a crush on me. But I couldn't put it in words why I cannot go on a date with you.
Mm-hmm.
We can be friends, but not more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't talk about it with people. I don't think it's their
business.
Their issue. It's not their business. I don't think you're not a huge part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
You're not integral to me. And for everyone, if they ask me, I answer. Usually I'm using a sarcastic, snarky way to do it, because I'm very sarcastic. I'm like a Chandler Bing. I'm basically if it was a friend, I'm a Chandler. But a gay one. Basically that's it. Me personally, as a concept, I'm kind of a bit of my worldview, I'm against the concept of coming out, because it still makes it as something special, as something out of the normal. Because when people will not care about it, and when they stop caring about it or doing a coming out thing, we know we hit the place we got to that it's so normal.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's 100% normalized. If you think about it, because straight people don't have to come out.
Right.
It's the norm. People already accept it. Mm-hmm. It's like when parents find out their kid is gay, and some parents know, some parents don't know. The parents who don't know or they are in denial, they literally going through a grieving process. Because the child they thought they knew is gone, is basically dead. Because parents, us as humans, we already like to imagine the future. So parents like to imagine their kids' lives. Oh, he's gonna grow up. He's gonna have a wife, like 2 kids, 3 kids. No matter what, I'm gonna be a grandfather, a grandmother. And as long as when this thing gonna stop happening, like again, that we will not need the concept of coming out, a goal in society. Then we can,
Well, I love that. Well, thank you so much, and I'm excited to have you on this panel.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
All right, and we've got Saharo, who you all know from TikTok as well.
Hi.
Saharo, I'm excited to have you on this panel to talk about everything, all things LGBTQ in Israel. But first, let's let the audience get to know you first. So can you give a little bit about your background, your history?
Sure. My name is Sal, not Saharo, like everyone knows me. I live in Tel Aviv. I grew up in Tel Aviv. Grew up and raised in Tel Aviv. I'm 30 years old. People knows me who's someone who's very loud on TikTok, but usually in my work time, I do digital marketing. I promote local businesses in Israel. I live next to my mom, my beautiful mom. What can I say about my family? I grew up only with my mom and my granny on my mom's side. My parents got divorced when I was very young. Don't worry, it's not a sad story. And yeah, what can I say about myself? Regular gay guy, had the best time of his life, the best education. I grew up in Jaffa. I grew up in Ramat Aviv. If people knows the areas of Tel Aviv, they will know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's all I can say. It's just another gay guy in Tel Aviv.
So Jaffa is like the really hip area now, right? And that's a
Jaffa is
historically
like the
area.
cool area. It's like
Yeah,
where the hipsters live now. You live in old Jaffa, you're cool.
yeah.
Like
There's a
in
Soho
between.
house there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the Soho House is like a bit far from the center. I know
Oh,
which if this is the right Soho House we're talking about, but yeah, it became a cool place to live in. Well, because it
yeah.
was also renovated. The area was back in the days, Jaffa used to be a very old. Tel Aviv didn't really put an effort on renovating the city. Now it's beautiful. Now it looks like if you go to Europe, it gives you the vibes of some European city. You got the metro now. You got all the old city renovated, real estate, new real estate buildings. New apartments. It become very expensive to live there. So yeah,
And did that used to be an Arab area for the most part?
it's always it
Yeah.
was always a multicultural city, and it still is. There is Arab community in the city of Christians, Muslims, and Jews. I grew up in a street that everyone knows, like the main street in Jaffa. It's called Yefet. Right at the beginning of Yefet, next to the clock tower, where during the British Mandate they built it. And this is like the center of the city where you can literally see the coexistence between the Jews, Muslims, and Christians. So all that nonsense that I always get on TikTok of discrimination and apartheid and all of that, it's nothing near to what I was experiencing as a young boy in Jaffa. And it's also it has a very important part in the education that I got. This is why I'm so tolerant, respecting, even though I can be a bit rude when I'm giving my criticism. But it is what it is. Because I've seen all kind of flavors. I'll say all kind of people, all kind of colors.
That's a cool way to grow up.
I ate Christmas, Ramadan,
Oh,
and Hanukkah all combined.
oh wow.
Yeah, it's
So,
nice.
can you give a little bit of background about your family background? Like, when did they come to Israel?
So, as I said before, part of my family never left the
Hmm.
country. My family is very mixed. The origins of my family, in general, from my mom and my father's side, they had a trip. They came from Morocco. Part of them immigrated to Turkey, then came from Turkey back to Israel. Part of them never left the land. They lived in Tiberia. They lived in. They never left the land.
Hmm.
So this is what we call tzabar, people who never left the land. Jewish tzabar is people who never left the land. I have some family who did some pit stop in France and then came back. This is why I have a French passport. Let's not talk about it. Then they will call me European. And then, yeah, most of my mom's side grew up here. My mom grew up here. My granny grew up in Turkey. From my grandfather's side, they came from Morocco, from Fez. And from my father's side, I'm not that educated on because I wasn't growing up with my father. Don't worry, it's not a sad story. I wasn't growing up with a father since the age of 3. So I know that most of them came from Morocco and some of them came from here, never left. This is what I know, like in general, let's say.
So, Moroccan Jew, would that be considered Mizrahi or
Mizrahi.
Sephardi?
Yes, it's
Mizrahi.
definitely Mizrahi. Sephardic Jews, I listen, I'm very mixed. When it comes to that, I am very mixed. I mean, I know that I have also some Sephardic Jew in me because my grandmother speaks Ladino.
Oh,
Ladino is the language of the people who lived in Spain.
Hmm.
So there is some origins from Sephardic Jews, and it's all combined with Mizrahi and Sephardic Jews. But yeah,
Interesting. Okay, awesome.
yeah, I represent the whole world, honey.
Yeah, love it. So, and then you live in Tel Aviv, which is the most tolerant city for gay people in the entire Middle East.
Yeah, I would definitely define it as this. Yeah, the
Yeah,
most tolerant, open-minded, and you know what? Maybe also one of the most open-minded cities that I've ever been or living at in the entire world. And I've been visiting lots of countries. I've been to South Africa. I've been to most of Europe, America. I've been to Asia. So yeah, Tel Aviv is one of the most. Listen, there's a reason why Tel Aviv is a very hot destination for LGBT people to come and visit and have a vacation here, because this city is really the combination of the sea, the food, the vibes, the people, the weather. It's like a good combination, and that's what makes this city, I think, very special.
that's so cool. Yeah, I've been to Tel Aviv, and I remember like how open it is. They have like the crosswalk is rainbow flag. It's like you could not find that anywhere else in the Middle East. Um, but
Yeah.
people like to talk about like, oh, it's not actually that tolerant. I'm like, well, that wasn't my experience.
I think that it's not only happening in Tel Aviv when we talk about Israel as a whole, it's already happening in so many other cities, such as Ramat Gan, which is next to Tel Aviv, and you got Haifa, which is also very tolerant towards this, and Beersheba, and you got lots of cities that are progressing towards this. So I would say that the whole country is witnessing an LGBT revolution that started in the late 90s. But I agree with you. Tel Aviv is a very, Tel Aviv is literally, if we wouldn't have a conflict with the countries around us, the amount of LGBT people coming to Tel Aviv from those countries would be sick and insane. I mean, I see what happens after the Abrahamic Accords with the UAE, and I see how much guys from the UAE coming to visit Tel Aviv, and it's insane. It is really insane. But yeah, it's important to have a city like Tel Aviv in the Middle East, where is not a very happy place for LGBT people, I would say.
Yeah. So finally, before we wrap up and go to the panel, do you want to tell your coming out story?
Sure, I have a very funny coming up story, and I love to tell it to people. Well, back in the days, I was a teenager who didn't understood my sexuality. I always thought that okay, it will pass. I have to date a girl, now will be with a girl because this is what it is. And I wasn't the typical, gay guy who was playing dolls. It was already there was already signs and whatever. I was literally playing basketball. I was like hanging out with the dudes. I dated girls, by the way, and yeah, I it felt like just another regular teenager. But then when I was 17 and 18, I met a guy, and it completely blew my mind. I mean, I was very confused at first, but then, I don't know how to say it in English, but when you're finally understanding with yourself that that's it, Tsar, you're gay. I mean, there's no running. You can run away from it. And then I can say from the age of 17 to 18, I realized my identity and who I am. And I started dating guys, and I met a guy that I really liked. And I used to be a manager in a hotel in Tel Aviv. So whenever I did night shifts, they gave me rooms in the hotel, so I slept there. So that guy that I met, whenever I went to sleep over his house, I gave my mom an excuse that I'm going to work and I'm staying
Oh,
overnight. So I went to his home, and I was such a stupid boy. I mean, I wasn't answering calls and text messages, for the next 24 hours. My mom thought that something happened to me, like literally something happened to me. And I called her after like, I think 20 hours. I called her, Mom, I'm all right. I'm coming home. And she was like shouting in the phone, You better be at home now. I was going home. And I called my best friend, and he told me, Listen, I don't know what you feel, but I feel this is the sign to finally tell your mom who you really are, because my mom is not that primitive person. She's very open-minded. She have a gay friends. She grew up with that kind of people. And it's funny because her gay friends always told my mother, "You will see, your son will be a gay guy," and they were laughing. Yeah, it was a joke. It was a joke
Oh.
between them. And I came back home and I wrote her letter because I was so stressed that I wouldn't say the right stuff in front of her. So I wrote a letter. Listen, you know that feeling when you're writing a letter and you don't think too much, just writing it, and
Mhm.
the words like keep coming and coming. And I wrote her a letter of four pages,
Oh,
four
wow.
pages, and then she came to my home. She came home. She came back home. She read the letter. She was already about to go inside my room and kick my ass. But she read the letter and then she started crying, like
Oh.
really crying. She came to me, she hugged me. And the first thing that thought, and this is the moment where I understood that my mom is special. When she came to me, she said, "Why did you keep that? Why haven't you told me all that time? I mean, it's not that I'm stranger, but the thing is that my mom and I wasn't that close before I was coming out because I was keeping a secret. And after I came out, I felt like I won my mom again, I would say. Like we got very
Oh.
close and our relationship got better. And yeah, my whole family accepted me right away. My grandmother, my cousins, my aunts, my uncle. The thing is that they were surprised because I didn't give any sign. They didn't see anything. So yeah, maybe the only thing they could see that I'm not really dating that much girls, and maybe that would give them the sign that something is happening, something is not right. But yeah, this is my coming out story. That's it. It's not
I love
that. It's not drama. It's very like
No.
it's
Well, I
cool.
love it. I love it. It sounds the thing that gets me with both you and Moses's coming out stories is that it sounds like I have a ton of friends who are gay in the United States. I was the
Hmm.
person my freshman year of college, a lot of them would come out to me before they would come out to people they knew because we had just met. And your stories sound similar to theirs. So it's just crazy to think that a place located in the Middle East would be as tolerant as America. In America, I think people would even say is intolerant, but I don't know. It sounds like you have a perfectly normal, accepted experience.
Yeah. I don't know if you know the history of Israel, but Israel wasn't used to be that open-minded the whole time. The real changes happened in the early 90s,
Mhm.
and with the winning of, I don't know if you know her, Dana International, you know that singer?
I probably do, but I'm
Okay,
not
she
placing.
won Eurovision. She's huge. Let's say that if the drag queens in America would hear her, they would go crazy. All the RuPaul Drag Race know her. She is the first trans woman to win Eurovision. Eurovision is that music context of Europe.
Mhm.
So she was winning that for Israel, and she started the revolution of the LGBT community. The first gay parade that take place in Israel was in 19 right away after Dana International won, and since then it is only progressing more and more and more and more. And now you're seeing LGBT presence in the parliament, and you see them everywhere you go. You see them in hospital. You see them everywhere, and the progress here goes fast from year to year. Now, I'm not saying that there's no homophobia in Tel Aviv or in Israel. You will always find homophobia. You will always find, wherever you go, even to the most open minded places, you will find homophobia. But Israel is indeed progressing into a brighter future. It is not something I can say about the countries around us. And I can also say that about the Arabic communities that lives within Israel. You know, the amount of stories that I keep hearing from my friends who are else Arab, Muslim, Druze is insane because I feel so honored that I was growing up to my family, because it's not something I should take for granted. I hear stories of kids that's being thrown away, and in the worst cases also unalive, trans men, trans women that have been unalive. It's tough.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing to mention in the panel. Well, thank you so much for doing this intro. And now we will get into the panel with everybody else.
Let's go.
This might be my favorite panel I've ever done, or my favorite podcast I've ever done. And thank you again to Moses for the idea. But we have Sahar, Linor, and Moses here to discuss all things LGBTQ plus in Israel. And I'm really excited. I think you guys are going to love this. So you guys have already gotten to meet all of them individually in their individual segments. Now let's get into some questions that I'm sure everybody has about what it's like to be LGBTQ plus in Israel. The first question I have for you all is, hearing your coming out stories, they sound remarkably similar to friends of mine in the United States coming out stories. It sounds like, we already knew this, but Israel's an incredibly progressive Western country that accepts LGBTQ people. Do you guys agree with my assessment that coming out in Israel is maybe similar to what it would be in America?
In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no, because it's still different cultures. Yes, we're very Americanized, but it's still different cultures. For an example, Israel is much more warm, family-oriented environment, and sometimes it's still hard, even in Israel. Yeah.
Lenore and Sahar,
Linor,
you
you wanna
guys
go
have
up?
any?
There is who is going to answer first? I think it's let's say that it depends what side of America you're comparing to. But Israel, I'm agree with Moshe. It's very family oriented. Some sides is more pro LGBTQ, and some sides are more like dependent by religion. Let's say something like that. But yes, very similar to the States.
I mean, I have nothing more to add, but I'll just say that I think that the Israeli society is a very progressive society. So that's why you will find similarities between the two societies. I think that, as I said before, you will always find, homophobia, primitive people, narrow-minded people who are not so open or gay-friendly to the topic. And it's not unique to Israel or the United States of America, but there is indeed very similarities between the both societies, because they are very progressive. Also America, I mean, only in the last 20 years have been so progressed when it comes to legalizing LGBT and LGBT life and marriage, and so yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you for kind of confirming, but also I do think Israel's more family oriented. You guys are right. My next question, and Lenore, I don't have this for you yet, but Moses and Sahar are at least part Mizrahi Jewish. And so do you still, as a Mizrahi Jew, feel a connection to the Arab world? And does that change your opinion or make you feel a certain way about having the rights that you have in Israel versus what you would have if you were still in Morocco or Libya or somewhere like that?
Really, not really connecting to the. It's well. Let's start like that. It depends on who you're talking to, because my family, my father and mother came directly from Morocco, so I can see that the similarity between to the Arab original world they bring from Morocco, but I can see the change with my family by my sisters and my brothers. They are very different, because I don't think that we are more Arabic or Moroccan than we are Israelis, and are like became a different Israelis. Like we establish ourselves here, and we are exactly like all the Israelis that came even from Europe. So there is no difference between the new generation than the oldest one.
Definitely.
So
Well said.
Wow.
not similarity to Arab nation, more similarity to Israelis as we create it, as we decide to create it.
You wanna add
I
something?
think I think there was some discrimination in the early years of Israel, but it's not really existing today. Like let's say like in America, society progressed over the years. So is us. We progressed. Again, you cannot really compare the mentality and how people lived like in the 50s and the 60s up until today. It's completely different society. And today we're way more progressed, and I don't think that's discrimination. You know what? For the most part, I don't think it exists anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that in general, the more progressive you are, the more tolerant and open-minded you are to differences and differences between us in our society. And I think that Israel is very influenced and affected from the Western world, as we should, because we're always comparing ourselves as a country to countries like Spain, America, Canada, like big democracies that we want to be like them. We never compare ourselves to the countries around us because we consider them, with all the respect, a failure societies that are failing to achieve and bring the benefits and the rights and the freedom that the people who lives in it deserve it. So I think that the more Israel is progressing, or any country who would ever choose to open its doors to the West or to the free world and to cooperate with the world, will be more progressed, more open-minded, more tolerant. I mean, I can give you plenty of examples.
Yeah. I guess in America, our foreign policy, when we talk about it, the main objection a lot of people have, especially in the Middle East, is like, well, they don't share our values. So why would we even want to deal with them? I'm talking about Saudi Arabia or something like that. But I guess with you guys, it's like most of them don't like Israel anyway. So it's a non-starter that they don't have the same rights. And you don't, and I what I'm hearing from you guys is you don't feel such a connection to the lands that your families immigrated from.
I don't feel any connection.
I think that the biggest mistake people are doing by saying values is mixing culture with values. Now, uh, I'm saying on TikTok that you should not mix values with culture. Culture is one thing, values is another thing. It doesn't have to come together. If you are open minded to differences within you in your society and you're adopting democracy values, it doesn't mean that you're giving up your culture. You can still be that Arab, but open, but accepting the LGBT people. You can still be that Jewish, but accepting freedom of speech and freedom of movement and all those values that we believe in. It doesn't mean that you need to give up your culture. It's literally human rights that each and every human being deserves in the world. The fact that the Arabs trying to show as if the Western world has a Western culture is incorrect, because try to compare the French culture to the Spanish culture, try to compare it to the English or whatever, you won't find similarities. It's completely different culture, but yet still
Yeah.
all of them shares the same values, which is freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of pray, freedom of
Women rights, bodily
uh,
autonomy,
exactly, freedom to vote.
LGBT,
They
minority
all have
rights.
the same values. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to give up your identity or your culture, especially not even your religion. That's it. That's how I
Yeah,
see it.
that's true. That's
It's
true.
more, yes, it's feeling like more traditional way to live your life than like to be open-minded or to know that something else waiting for you, because it's more traditional. I can say about, if I see the trans community in Israel, so the trans community in Israel splitting to the trans women that are Muslims in Israel, and they tradition is more, it's like more a stone to the way for them to how to behave, how to act, how to walk, how to be even how to be a female. Then the Israelis, Jew in Israel, that they are trans women, that they want to be more independent, more, they have like more values, more not culture, like they take away their life from the point that they decide to be a trans woman to the point they want to be a independent woman, then like to be married, to be the wife of somebody. And this is more Muslim tradition in the trans community in Israel.
Okay.
That
You
goes
can see
to
the difference.
a point I was talking about with Sahar, where he was saying that he can tell a difference between the gay community that are Jewish and then Arab Muslim. And then you're saying you see that with the trans community as well.
It's starting. I think it's starting from the gay community, because before we became trans women, we became part of the gay community. So I think it's a tradition to. I call it tradition, yes, but I can see that they want to dress as a bride and to be the wife of somebody, to clean the house, to behave like lowest independent or less than the guy that they have been, or run away from the house. So you can see a lot of differences between inside the trans community, between trans Muslims to trans Jews.
That's so interesting.
I did not know that, actually.
Because you are not the CEO of trans women organization.
Yeah. It's basically what you're saying. The Muslim trans women, they want to be more dependent. They want someone to take care of them. They want to take care of someone and someone take care of them. They want to be dependent. They want to be...
They want to be their moms. They behave like their moms. They want to be a wife of somebody. Sometimes they really get married to a guy that probably married to a different woman, and they create fake life in Tel Aviv as the wife of somebody, even that he's right now with his original wife in whatever village he lives. And you can see that, and sometimes we are laughing about it, but this is the real life that they want to have. They want somebody will tell them what to do, tell them how to behave, and it's all, you can see the difference between them.
Background's really influencing.
Yes.
And so
Wow.
you're saying that you say that in the gay community as well, that like
Yes.
Muslims
Yes.
are gay. Yeah, so that's interesting.
Me personally, I'm a little bit like that as well, but not in the way that Linor said. I want to be, if you ask me what I want to be in 10 years, I want to be a stay-home husband, raising 2 or 3 kids. But still, yeah, I'm going to be someone's husband, but I'm not going to be his husband. Still, even though if I'm going to be a trophy husband, it's still not going to be like the stereotype of it. I'm still going to be independent.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Do you have any thoughts on this, Sahar?
No.
It comes from a different place. Sorry, my dog wanted attention a bit. Sorry.
I am very independent woman, and I'm doing everything by myself. I don't see, because even my mom, that she came from Morocco, she wasn't like that. She wasn't the wife of the husband. She was very independent. She was working. She was like a hairdresser, and she didn't let my father to act. Even my father wasn't like that anyway, but act as the main guy in the house, and she's supposed to do things for him. She was very independent, and I had two parents that are working, so I got that from my mom. So that's how I am. But to see a lot of trans women doing all the transition just to be wife of somebody, it's their life.
Well, speaking of the transition, there's only one other country in the Middle East that allows transitioning, I believe, and that's Iran, but they force transitions.
Because they
Right.
don't have gay guys. Yes.
So, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, to me, going through that transition because you're forced sounds like going through it on your own volition is a great thing for people who want that. Being forced to me, sounds like very. I just, do you have any insight on that?
To be a gay guy in Iran, it's a miserable life, because they choose your life, and they choose how you need to act your life. And to go to do operation without opinion about it, it's terrible. Because I remember that I was in Thailand, and when I did my surgery, and I saw a lot of trans women in Thailand that fly to Thailand to fix the surgery, even because the surgery wasn't like great. So they came to Thailand, and they told me that they didn't want to do the surgery. They are gay guys, and in Israel, it's became like that on the 70s, because the government decide that if some trans woman want to do the transition, she need to go to a medical procedure before she will decide to do the surgery, and the government will pay for that by the public hospitals in Israel. And we can see a lot of growing, like grassroots or growing up by the surgeries, because I think many years ago we have only one hospital that doing that. Right now we have three public hospital that's doing the surgeries to a trans woman by the government, that giving you the option to do the surgery by founding that. And I think, to my opinion, it's great, because I'm speaking with trans women like in Egypt, that in Egypt only university help them to do the surgeries, because it's illegal to be gay or trans in Egypt. In Jordan, it's more open-minded, but not by the government. Like, you can accept a lot of trans women. You can see them on the street. You can see them on Amman and places like that. Most of them are prostitutes and sex workers. And I think just because they are sex workers, they can afford themselves private surgeries. In Lebanon, it's illegal. So you can see, like in Syria, they will be died. So even gay guys. So you can see around Israel how they behaving to the trans community. In Israel, it's democracy. Like, you can choose to do a surgery and the government will pay for that.
Sahar and Moses, do you guys have any opinion on forced transitions?
I think it's horrible. What can we say about Iran?
Yeah.
It's horrifying. If someone doesn't have body dysphoria and they've been forced to transition, that's the thing that can trigger a body dysphoria. That itself can cause someone to end their own life. That's horrifying. I don't want to be even thinking what I would have done if it would happen to me. I don't feel like a woman. I never felt like a woman trapped in a man's body. It's like, I don't even want to think about it, but this is why I don't think, like, I will correct you a little bit, Amanda, about what you said in the beginning. Another country that allows it. It's not allowing, it's not freedom. What Iran is doing, it's not freedom. It's not even, I will not even call it pinkwashing, because it's not pinkwashing. They are so obsessed with gay people. They literally turning men into women just for the sake of not having gay people, because then they can say to the Arab Muslim world, we don't have gay people. Look, it's a man and a woman. They're not gay. So that's the obsession. That's pinkwashing. Because I don't even know what's happening to lesbian women in Iran, but from what I'm seeing that happening with gay men forced being transition, I only can imagine that they're probably again being forced marriage to men. And I'm just grateful that I'm not living that type of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sahar, any comment?
I completely agree with them. I have nothing to add, so I will add whenever.
Sounds good.
Sorry, it's awfully quiet now.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's different from
It's so different from TikTok. It's like, I also feel more
Just
pain.
wait, honey.
Honey.
Let's go to what Moses is talking about with the pinkwashing. So pinkwashing is one of the favorite insults that Western people like to talk about with Israel. Israel's pinkwashing, aka celebrating the rights it gives to LGBTQ people, and that is wrong, I guess, according to them, because I don't understand. Pinkwashing comes from, in the concentration camps, the Nazis made people wear an upside down pink triangle if they were gay to shame them even further. And I've had experience where I made a video about that on TikTok, and they said, there's no correlation. How dare you compare us to Nazis? Netanyahu's a Nazi.
Okay, let me tell you.
Oh, whoa. Okay. I'll wait.
Listen to me, all Felicias out there. Why are you surprised The same very people who were siding with the Germans back in World War II are taking the definition of the same very people that discriminated Jews, gays, LGBT people, disabled people, Slavic people, etc., etc. The list is so long, those people are disgusting. Why are we surprised that they are taking those stuff and using it against us? They are using the Yazis as to claim that Israel is a Nazi Germany. They take the swastika signs, they put it on the Israeli flag. They are defining the new anti-Semitism and hate in the new era, let's say, because they don't want to be categorized as Yazis. So they are definitely taking what they have done and use it against us. Now let's talk about the pinkwashing bullshit. Israel don't needs to explain anyone nothing in the world. Let's start with that. And continue with the fact that don't need to explain the world that we are in a progressed society and that we accept LGBT people and we accept the differences between us and that we are a society full of coexistence and that we respect all the minorities within us. We don't need to explain that to anyone. Anyone who wants to really know Israel can come, take a flight, land in Tel Aviv, and see it for himself. The fact that they are calling it pinkwashing is that because they don't have anything, anything to hold against Israel. They know that the truth is that the Palestinians are a very homophobic society, not just them, but all the Arabic societies around us. And we don't really need to go and dig down that much. We have the Arabic societies in our country where they are very separated from the main society, from the mainstream society, and they are discriminating LGBT people in their societies. In the worst cases, they also unalive them. They unalive trans women, they unalive anyone who's considered gay, lesbian. It already happened hundreds of times here in Israel, inside of Israel. So I don't want to think what happens outside of Israel in Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and all those countries. So for them to come up and talk about pinkwashing when their countries, or especially those LGBT people coming from those countries, is incorrect, and as they know that it's false to support that kind of regime, people, society, for me, it's double standards and hypocrisy at its best. I will never support a society or a country that discriminates anyone, not LGBT people, not any religious groups do that. Therefore, I will never support the Palestinians and I will never support the Arabs until they will change their treatment towards people who are different than them. They're not just discriminating the LGBT people. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant, but I have to say, they are not only just discriminating the LGBT people. They discriminate women. They discriminate people who are not Muslim. They discriminate everything that is different from them. But whenever you tell them that things and whenever you criticize them, you're immediately becoming an Islamophobe, an anti-Arab.
Exactly.
Immediately. There's no place for criticism. There's no place for self-judgment. They are not able to listen to the outside voices telling them, hey, you are wrong. You're doing something wrong. They 100% believe that they do something right. And to see people from my queer community in those societies standing up for those people in the name of, I don't, they might not have the same kind of life that I have and do not accept that, but I do not accept genocide as they love to claim. Like, seriously, who are you even supporting? People who wants you unalive. This is sick and stupid. And people who wants me to be dead are my enemies, and I'll fight them till I'll convince them differently.
They
That's
are
it.
basically, they are only pro freedom of speech and criticism, even constructive criticism or any type, only when it serves them, only when it serves their goals, what they want. But the second you criticize them, they are the untouchable ones. Because how dare you? criticize me, and in that same second you become Islamophobic, even though we know that a phobia, Islamophobic, it means that you're supposed to be afraid of Muslim people, but we're not. That's what Islamophobic should be. But when we're telling them something is anti-Semitic, they don't agree with that. That's not, and then they use the I have a black friend trope, but they use Jewish instead. What I want to say about the pinkwashing is literally coming from the same people who are trying to cancel our indigeneity and take it away from us. The people who keep telling you, what's your definition of something, when my definition of something means shit, means nothing. Because my definition doesn't matter. There is a definition of genocide. There is a definition of Zionism. There is a definition of apartheid. There is the definition of pinkwashing. And they say, well, they keep saying my definition. Yeah, your definition, I don't care about it. I don't care. The definition of if we take Zionism, just an example, is for the Jewish people to self-determine in their ancestral homeland of Israel, their indigenous homeland. But they said, no, that's not what it means to me. Well, I don't care. That's the literal definition of it. But if we go back for a second to the pinkwashing, it's like, it's funny and it's sad at the same time. From those people, it's insane. I'm having trouble to speak about it in English even. Because, well, English is not my native tongue. They're literally, when they're saying, well, Israel doesn't have gay marriage. And yeah, don't you forget that literally this year, not even like almost like around the middle of this year, it's only been 10 years that America legalized gay marriage in America up until for over 2 years, America didn't have gay marriage. The UK also, yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, I mean, even the way we legalize gay marriage, it's not like all of the people that we elected to
through
go
the court system.
Yeah,
it was through the court system.
Yeah, it's not even like we all stood up together and said we're going to pass this legislation and this bill. We had the court do it, which is a huge cop out, which makes me mad because just as easily as the court legalized it, it could be overturned by a court decision. And
look at Roe v. Wade for an example.
Exactly. Yeah.
It took 50. So again, those people are forgetting that in 50 years, in their lifetime, gay marriage can go on like this. Yeah, sorry, can be disappeared like this. Like, just like Roe v. Wade. They don't appreciate what they have. I don't think so. I think they're taking it as granted, basically. And when I'm saying to those people, Israel is only 75 years young. It's 75, it's like 7.5 in years of countries, where the generations of our founders are still alive, like a lot of them. And my prediction, and I think both Sahar and Linor can both agree with me, that probably in the next 20 to 30 years, I think, or even, and I'm taking the worst possibility ever. Like, expect the worst, and then you'll be, maybe if nothing bad happens, you'll be okay. And that we're going to have legalized gay marriage, and not just gay marriage, civil marriage. Also, the marriage situation in Israel, people are forgetting we inherited it from the Ottomans, the last Muslim empire. It's just, it's a fucked up situation that we still have it, yes. But it's like, if I will get married to someone, let's say in Cyprus, that's what a lot of people are doing. There are literal companies who help people do it. You go there, you stay for about 24 to 48 hours, you get married there, and you come back here and you are recognized as married. And that's it. Yes, I still don't think that I should leave my country to get married. Yes, you can ask us, all of us, we are full of criticism towards our government and the governments before that, like even before this current one. But it's still, we know we can literally be out and proud and walk by this around the street, and nobody will do anything to us. We have the biggest pride parade in the Middle East, or perhaps the world, is happening in Tel Aviv every June. We have pride parades almost in every city in Israel. And I think, in my opinion, that the most important one is the pride parade in Jerusalem. because it's my capital city and it's way more important than Tel Aviv. So when they say pinkwashing, just wait. Give us time. It's not pinkwashing. We are regular citizens. We're not taking advantage or saying, oh, we're gay, so this is why Israel is a good place. No, that's not the case. Just before the war, like about a few months before the war, there was a Knesset member, one member of our parliament, who said that LGBTQ people are more dangerous than Hamas, Fatah, and Hezbollah. He said, he said it on TV. There was a huge backlash against him even now for saying that. And I know that's idiotic saying what they're saying. That's just showing the ignorance, the blind hatred, and the indoctrination. And again, the same people who are saying, I don't hate Jews, I hate Zionists. And they're forgetting to notice, to see the small detail that that over 95% of Jews are Zionists in one form or another, and that they are in the globe there are more Zionists than Jews themselves. They're just forgetting those facts.
Right.
Yeah, basically, I think pinkwashing is bullshit. Go to Nike. What they're doing every Pride Month, that's pinkwashing, not us. I'm saying Nike as an example.
Yeah. Lenore, do you have a thought on that?
To my opinion about what they say about pinkwashing, it's like you don't have any gay rights in Israel, so why you defend a country that don't have any gay rights? And I think me and my friends here, we choose to believe and we asking ourselves what we are first. We are a Jewish first, we're Zionist first, we are Israeli first, and we are gay, and we are trans or gay guys. We can decide at the meaning what is our option to be first. And yes, when I am argument with my government, I'm trans first because my trans community is before. But when I supposed to defend by anywho about Israel, I am an Israeli first. I'm a Zionist first. So this is not a pink washing because we are not protecting a government that's against us, because not only gay pride, this is our not only gay pride our option to do. We can see that government put the hands on the pockets and give us a lot of money to all the organizations, the gay organizations in Israel. The government support. We have a lot of supporting by the government. I was the first trans woman that was working in the Knesset. And you can say America is like a liberal, but you cannot say a lot of trans women inside the government or all over Europe or probably in the States. There is no a lot of trans women that they are doing history. So we are right now, we can say we are a young country. We are a young country. 75 years. It's only young for different countries on the world, and we did a lot of things in 75 years then that a lot of countries didn't do in 270 years.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
yeah.
Lenore, in your last point, I think you made a really good point where when you're fighting for trans issues, you are trans first. But when you're fighting other people, you are Israeli first. You're a Zionist first. That's a concept I do not think Americans understand. I don't think Americans understand what it's like to be like Americans. What? Oh,
can we delay on the fact that what is a Zionist exactly? Because I feel like people taking Zionist as something bad. It's something that is forbidden to be. Zionist is literally believing that Israel has the right to exist. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not kind of term of discrimination or whatever. It's just what it is. And the fact that they are taking Zionists and Zionism and try to give it a new definition, this is the new definition of anti-Semitism. They are taking those kind of stuff and using it against us as Jews. And then they say, no, there's Jews and there's Zionists. And unfortunately, there are Jewish Americans who are falling into this. Naive Jewish Americans that are falling into this bullshit.
It's a
There's not,
dehumanization trap.
You
people
cannot
ask me,
say that you are Arabic or Palestinians or I don't know Muslims. It's the same in Israel. It's the same thing to be an Israeli. Zion, it's different name that belong to Israel. Israel have many names that God give them. So Zion, it's one of the name. To be a
no, but
Jew, it's one
Yeah.
trial between 12 trials that have been in Israel, and we belong to this trial because
yeah, but
this trial was.
When someone says Zionist, what is Zionist? I'm an Israeli Jew. Just like there's Israeli Druze, just like there's
You.
Israeli Christian and Israeli Muslim, there's nothing as Zionist. It's
But the
no
thing is, for
longer,
us,
it's no longer relevant to the reality of today.
we
Zionism,
we we can't.
Zionists were a movement that their main goal was to create the state of Israel, a Jewish homeland for the Jewish people, the right for their self-determination. When people tell me you're a Zionist, what is Zionist exactly? I'm an Israeli. I'm an Israeli
Sar,
Jew.
it's I think it's like in Germany in World War II, it's like to give you a different names to do a method to
It's
how
dehumanization. They're trying to
yes
take our humanity from us. They don't see
yes
us as human beings.
absolutely. So to tell you are a Zionist, it's not a curse for us. It's just one of the methods they want to do to make you not human.
The thing is that Zionism was over on 19
Yeah.
when the Jewish country was
Okay.
established. The same second when Ben Gurion, our first prime minister, announced the state of Israel and we declared we got our sovereignty, that's it. Zionism is over. But today, when you call someone, all of us were Zionists. What does Zionist means today in Israeli society and even in Jewish communities worldwide? And patriotic. You just love your country. Like Americans who love the country is proud to be, I'm a proud American, I'm a proud Zionist, I'm a proud Israeli. That's it.
I think that goes to the point where, like, I don't know what it is with you guys. Maybe it's being that you come under attack. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But there's this notion in America where if you perceive the government as being against you one iota, you don't support America as a whole. And you guys are all having problems with your government, but you're still very supportive that your government should exist. And maybe that's because nobody with legitimacy is trying to wipe America off the map.
I don't think
And
there's any country who's okay with its government in the world.
right.
It's coming from a place that's or black or white. It's this or that. But if people are forgetting, between black and white, there's infinite shades of gray. People are forgetting that. It's just because you don't agree with one aspect of something doesn't mean that everything as a whole, this whole concept is wrong. We have a lot of criticism towards our government from all sides. From all sides, and you probably heard me on a live saying that I love to see when other Americans, I'll take an example, Americans who visited Israel, and I love to see that they got the Israeli point of view. I can recognize that. You see, they think like Israelis. And a lot of people do. And I love it because they have the same criticism as me. I love criticizing my government. It's not just, you know what? Love is a strong word. It's like, I feel like I'm kind of obligated.
Yeah.
And it's a privilege. And it's also a privilege of me to criticize my government.
Yeah.
A lot of places in the world cannot do that. It's just, I don't know, it's annoying. It's annoying when people...
You know what's so funny? In America, 99% of the African American the family was slaves, but you don't see them says I am still an African. They said that I'm a proud American. Like their loyalty still to the land to bring them to be slave them. Native American, the same thing. You can see they conquered the land and they still say that they are proud American. Yes, we have a lot of conflict. We have a lot of problem with our government. I don't think that we are walking on the street and everything is amazing. I don't think that we are rich more than a lot of places in the world, but protect our government, we will do it. It doesn't matter who will be the prime minister at the same time. It can be a religion, it can be I don't know, because I can tell you that few weeks before October 7, we had every Saturday night we did a
Protest
we protest.
against the government for about 10 months. There was supposed to be
Yes,
a protest on October 7th. For that night, for that evening, there was supposed to be a huge protest, like one of the big ones, to
and
mark the 10 months.
at the time that we see and we saw what happened on October 7th, we put our differences on the side. I put my trans woman on the side and became, how you call it, Zionist, Israeli, whatever you tell me. I put my shield, and my first shield is to be an Israeli first. And you know what's so funny about it? All the people that like debating on the media never in their life have been in Israel, probably in Palestine. Never in their
Yep.
life. Their family ran away at the beginning of the time from Egypt, from Lebanon, from Syria, from Jordan, from the West Bank. They ran away from them, and they living life in America with the first language English and their culture and their democracy, and they protecting places that probably would kill them if they are not belonging to none of the freedom fighters, so-called terrorism.
It's exactly like my mother is American, my father is Canadian. I was born in Australia, but I'm Palestinian.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's exactly that.
So far, what are your
That's
When
stupidly
and
insane.
when they told us
Or
go
insanely
back
stupid.
to go back to Germany, my family never
I
been there.
think,
But excuse me,
yeah, go on. Go on.
no, you can.
I think what's funny with what I found hilarious and funny with the people who are defining themselves as Palestinians to the people who literally lives in the land is that whenever those people who lives in a Western world societies will come and go to the West Bank and Gaza, they will see the differences between them to theirs. They are fighting for people who literally doesn't speak the same language as them because they were educating in a different society, in a different system of education. They grew up differently. Just because they are holding some Palestinian flag and a scarf doesn't mean that they are the same Palestinians who lives in the land. And I doubt it that even those Palestinians who live in the land will consider them as people who originally are from here. And then you will start to see that like discrimination between the people who lives in the land and the people who left the land.
Yeah.
It will happen.
That's
I
I
can
know.
That's
say
what I tell those people who are they say I'm Jewish. Yes, I am Jewish. I'm not a Zionist. I don't agree with Israel. I think Israel should be from the river to the sea, which it's a chant that we can all say it's a genocidal chant because and the same people who doesn't know from what river to what sea. So I tell them from Atlantis to Narnia, from the Atlantis River to the Narnia Sea. That's basically what I tell them. Those are the same people. I'm a Jew, but I'm not a Zionist. But what I tell them all the time, on the line, we will stand together side by side, and we're probably gonna hold hands on the line to the crematorium. They will not care if you support them or not. They will unalive you the same way. Just because they're tokenizing you and you feel like they're your friends, and I prove it to several Jews here on TikTok, Jews slash like people who are half Israelis or just. I showed them, look, those people are tokenizing you. And when they looked hard and they re-inspected everything they had with this specific person, said, oh my God, oh, we're right, I was tokenized. I was taken advantage of. To see, oh, we have a good Jew. We have a good Jew. Me personally, I don't support Netanyahu. I never voted for him. I'm voting since 2013. I never in my life voted for Netanyahu. Nothing. I hated him even before I could vote. And I will never vote for him. Never. I rather not vote, go to the voting booth and disqualify my own vote. I will rip the envelope instead of voting Netanyahu. but I hate more the fact that they making me defend him. I hate him. It's like they will make a leftist, a whole-hard leftist, support Donald Trump or defend Donald Trump. Think about that.
Yeah.
I can say something about even the differences between like Jewish on the States and Israelis, because I remember that I was living in Houston, Texas. I was lived in Houston, Texas, and I go to a comedy bar with friends, and it was like a Jewish comedian. It wasn't funny for me because all the jokes was very Jewish American than Israeli, so we have a different humor. So you can say that all the people that are so-called calling themselves pro-P or even Palestinians or whatever they choose to call themselves, when they live in America, drinking Subway or whatever, and take care about inside, caring about innocent life in Gaza. They don't do nothing except go to live and get some points and gifts from the audience. They don't really care about it. Sometimes you can see then that even Palestinians family here in Gaza can call her sister in the States and asking only for money because she need money right now to live their life in Gaza. And the joke is that they like really pissed off. They don't let you talking about it. They don't really accept that, and they don't really care. They taking off the life and go back their American life, the American dream. They living the American dream, the Australian dream, and you can see that the culture is different, the language is different, the everything it's different. Probably the history that they learn too is different. And I'm really feeling sorry for the Palestinians that this is the people that defends you, because we defend our government from the first class, from our experience. We defend ourselves from our experience. They defend people in Gaza. They probably don't want to be defended by them, and they don't want even to be defended by the age group in Gaza. They just want to live their life. They just want to get inside Israel and work and bring bread to the family. That's only the things they want. And they call us colonized. We colonized Israel. That's so funny that you live in Australia or probably in United Kingdom that colonized a lot of places in the world, and you tell me about my colonized Israel. And if we want to really colonize Israel, I said it on live yesterday, we have the Golden Dome in Jerusalem. We can colonize that and bring back the temple. Why we didn't do it? Why the population of the Palestinians growing up every year? We can colonize them. Yes, we can close our gate and say no one get inside to Israel to work right now. You can choose what to do, what you want to do, and that will be like how they call it, genocide. But we choose do not do genocide. All the kibbutz around Gaza was very two-state solution all the time. Their opinions is two-state solution. And you came and all the age group came and the 7th of October killed them and even killed 20 families of Muslims, Israeli Muslims people. That's
The
okay.
father is still held up in Gaza. The four
Yeah.
Bedouin family. One brother was unfortunately unalived. One of them was from the three hostages that were unalived by accident by friendly fire from the IDF. And then the one daughter and one brother were brought back in a hostage exchange. Well, a hostage exchange for prisoners who commit terror attacks, if you want to be more accurate. Hostages for prisoners, ratio of 3-1, because they demanded ratio of 3-1, and we're still the bad people for agreeing to it. And the father is still there. The father is still there. They even unalived like 2 or 3 Palestinian people who came to work, Palestinian from East Jerusalem, who were minibus drivers, who drove people to the Nova party and one of their nephews who just tag along with them because he wanted to go party. So he got like a free pass to a party, because. So tell me, that's insane. We also saw, I think all of us saw, and everyone saw, what happened to people who tried to raise an LGBT flag in a pro-Palestinian riot. We all saw what happened. We all
I
saw
just
the
want to
bin
see. I
and
just want
the
to
ribbon of
see.
the flag.
I just want to see one person from Queer for Palestine going right now to Palestine. I just want to see how we go out.
Even now in the West Bank, they will still be they will tie up their limbs into 4 cars or 4 motorcycles, and they will start driving, just like they did in horses in the Middle Ages. They will torture them and unalive them. Conversion, the most horrifying conversion type as conversion therapy.
Yeah. I want to get Sahar
Yeah.
in here too. Do you have any thoughts on this?
No, actually not. I'm literally agreeing with that.
You're too quiet.
Yeah,
You're too quiet,
not
Sahar.
used to
It's
being
like
quiet.
you're saying everything that I think of, so I will not repeat myself.
Yes, I can just tell you a story before probably we end it. But 1 month ago, I got a phone call in Friday night, and on the phone call was an Arab Israeli that told me that there is a trans woman that her father took her from Haifa to Nablus or
Shem.
Shechem. Shechem. Yes, he took her from Haifa, and he wanted to kill her in Nablus because she is a trans woman. And I use all my connections just to stop him in the middle of the ward, because we found her cellular the number where she was exactly, and the police officer stopped them, and he asked her next to her father, do you feeling safe? So she lied and said yes, and the police officer called me and told me she's feeling safe. So I told him, wait a minute, separate her from her father, and ask her the same question. And he separated her from her father, and she said, no, I'm not safe, save me right now because he's going to kill me. The day after she called me, her father was arrested because he wanted to kill her. So yes, at the time that I am protecting Israel in the middle of a war, I saved Palestinians, trans women, because that's the right thing to do. And I can say I really feeling sorry for a lot of innocent in Gaza or West Bank. But when you choose your freedom fighter, don't accept us to be compassionate about it. I'm sorry for them, yes, but if Israel told you take off your children from the places that we are going to bomb, do it, and don't stay. After that, you can see all the videos. Probably half of them are fake, yes, but you can see a lot of videos that unfortunately a lot of unalived people.
Well, we
So
do know that they unalive their own people by themselves. Unalive, killing. We're using TikTok language. They're killing their own civilians. We saw it on countless videos. They're even taking away their food, their aid, everything. We see so many photos of the same child literally being dressed by the same clothes and being taken away by the rubble by different people. Dressed one child in dirty clothes, and they're standing next to the rubble.
Don't accept, let me tell you something, and I'm gonna wrap it up with it. Don't accept an apple, go banana, okay? Those people we are facing on TikTok are the very people we're fighting against when it comes to freedom of speech, when it comes to protect LGBT people, when it comes to all the values that we were raised on as people who are part from the Israeli society and a society that believes in democracy. So I'm not even triggered when I get to talk to those people, because I know that they are the very people who are part of the story of Linor, where the father wanted to unalive his daughter because she was a trans woman. they will do the same to LGBT people, to lesbians, to gays. So I'm not surprised. They will use the values of democracy and what we believe in order to manipulate the naive people in the West as if they are peaceful. They are the very people who discriminate each and every human rights daily, not in a year, in a day. So yeah,
Yeah, those people just have a savior complex.
Yeah.
The
They're beyond help.
I don't even call it white savior complex because it's just a savior complex. You want to feel like you're doing something. You want to be a part of something. So you don't check the facts. You don't care. You don't care about stories just like what Linor have said about people being kidnapped on broad daylight, like the story about Muhammad Abu Maria, the story of I forgot her name, about 8 months after the story of Muhammad, who was kidnapped on broad daylight from the street of Tel Aviv and were unalived by his father, his cousin, and his brother, just for being gay. He got refuge. He got asylum for Israel for like 2 years. So they don't care about those people. They tell us we're lying. And they don't care about the story that happened afterwards about there was a gay Palestinian woman. She was a lesbian and she was unalived by her father and her brother. She was unalived by him because because she's a lesbian, she did not agree to marry a man. It was an arranged marriage. She did not agree to it. And that's insane. That's insane. They don't stand for those people. They are just, and pardon my French, are just fucking hypocrite who are bored out of their life. They have nothing to do. They're literally jumping on the bandwagon, and those are the same people. They're comparing themselves to the people who marched with Martin Luther King, who was a raging Zionist. They are comparing themselves to the people who were doing protest sitting inside of restaurants against segregation. Who was also, when you see the white people, majority of them sitting next to black people on those stands, are Jewish, who happens to be white, because we all know Jewish people are not white. We're white presenting, but not white. They don't care for those people. They are thinking they are the people who's gonna stop the war in Vietnam. They're not. They're not. They're just a bunch of degenerates, idiots, who don't really care about the facts. They will not go and do a deep enough search. And you know what? How do you know Americans, just like you, who has nothing to do with, you have no skin in the game? How do you become like a Zionist or pro-Israeli? By listening to both sides, trying to ignore all your biases, and doing your own independence research. And then all of them becomes Zionists and pro-Israelis, and they're all saying, I did research. And if you notice debates online, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever else, we do it, me and Sahar and Linor do it mostly on TikTok. I meant that you were a part of those debates, for especially after like October 7th. And one thing that remains constant through all for the last over 100 days is the pro-Palestinian side keeps saying, I've heard it from someone, I have a friend, I have a family, I've seen like this, when I was this. They're talking about emotions. They don't care about facts. They're trying to rile you up emotionally, because this is how humans works. We are bringing you cold, hard facts. And what we are saying, they're saying, trust me, bro. We are saying, go fact check me. Please go check me. We are keep saying this time and time again. Go check what I'm saying. Because to every Israeli action, retaliation, something before happened. Go check. It didn't start. It's like Hebrew Hammer always saying, Gili, Hebrew Hammer. It's like when he is saying, you don't get to choose a point in history and then when history starts. It's not true. Everything that was there, it was action and reaction, action and reaction, action and reaction. Something happened. And no one welcomed us with open arms. Here, there were continuous Jewish presence on this land, and this conflict has been going on ever since AD. ever since the Muslim conquest of this area going on. The newest iteration is the Palestinians. And the Palestinian identity who was created in 1964 by Yasser Arafat, who himself is Egyptian. And I'm daring someone, go open up his tomb. You want to prove that he's Palestinian, even though we know there's no such thing as Palestinian DNA. Open his tomb, take a small sample, DNA sample. We can do that. Go check, and you're going to see Egyptian. That's the thing. This is why I hate all those stupid idiots who are usually under the age of like 25. The same people who believe Osama bin Laden would letter to America. It's changed their lives.
Yeah,
Same people.
Beyond repair. But hopefully,
Those are
videos like this, hopefully doing things like this, more people will see it. More people will hear from you guys' perspective, you guys' side.
I hope so.
Hopefully I can Americanize it a bit so they can understand why we should listen to you guys, because Americans are very proud and we only like to listen to each other. So yeah, I hope that doing things like this will push out the truth more. But so I think we can wrap it up here. Thank you guys all for doing this.
That's great.
I just want to say one last thing, if I can, if I may.
Thank you for
If I
inviting us.
may, one last thing. Israel will prevail over everything. Our mercy, our Israel mercy will prevail over the wrath of the terrorists.
Yes.
Amanda, I just want to
That's it.
say thank you very much. Thank you for
Thank
your
you for having us.
support. Yes,
you.
and thank you for your support. It's not usual, but we know that Americans support Israel, and we're proud to be an ally with America. So thank you very much for the podcast, and
Thank you.
Happy to have met you, and to our Jewish community to be so big,
Sahar, you have
got
something to
so
say?
big, and we find so many allies and so many people who really does support us. And again, keep criticizing. It's good. We love criticizing our government, and we love our community. We love, just, I don't know how to explain. Again, Am Yisrael Chai. That's it.
Thank you.
Sahar, wrap it up.
Yes,
Yeah, take it away, Sar.
Yalla, talk.
That's it, honey. If you
Girl,
want,
put the bass in your walk.
that's your new. I don't do like homophobia shit. I'm sorry, honey.
Exactly. I'm
Right.
just want to say, look, this is the necklace I'm walking with. Like, I'm just
Thank
saying.
you.
Yeah.
Adios, Alicia.
Thank you very
Bye,
much, Amanda.
Felicia.
Thank you,
Thank
Sahar and
you.
Moses. Bye.
All right, I just stopped recording. Lenore, we